You have been lied to about the most famous verse on generosity in the entire Bible. For your whole life, people have stood on stages, looked down at you, and used Proverbs chapter 11, verse 25 as a guilt trip. They told you it was a moral lesson, a charity tax. They told you that if you were a good Christian, a kind person, a decent human being, you would empty your pockets to prove your devotion. And so you did. You gave when it hurt. You gave when you were secretly terrified about your own bills. You gave out of obligation, out of pity, out of a desperate hope that God was keeping a ledger in the sky and would eventually notice how much you were bleeding. But your bank account never changed. The financial breakthrough scripture they promised you felt like a hollow echo. If you have ever sat in your car after giving money you did not really have, wondering why the windows of heaven stayed shut while you were drowning in anxiety, I want you to drop a comment right now. Tell me what you were taught about giving when you were growing up. What was the exact phrase or feeling you inherited about money and charity? Do not give me the church answer. Give me the real answer. Because the people reading these comments need to know they are not the only ones who feel entirely exhausted by the traditional money narrative. Here is the truth that will completely shatter how you view your finances from this moment forward. Proverbs 11:25 is not a lesson on charity. It is a mathematical equation. It is a formula for quantum Bible wealth. It is a mechanical, predictable, and absolute law of spiritual physics that dictates exactly how energy and money move through the human experience. Listen to the ancient text. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that waters shall be watered also himself. Solomon was not writing a greeting card about being nice. He was documenting a quantum prosperity formula. To understand this, we have to look at the work of the late Charles Capps. If you do not know who Charles Capps was, he was an absolute pioneer in understanding the mechanics of biblical wealth. He was a farmer and a thinker who realized something that most theologians completely miss. Capps realized that the spiritual realm does not operate on magic, on God's random moods, or on a lottery system of blessings. It operates on absolute fixed laws. Just like the law of gravity, just like thermodynamics, Capps taught that the words you speak, the emotions you hold, and the actions you take are literal seeds. They are frequency. They are packets of data that you are constantly programming into the quantum field around you. When you give money because you feel guilty, or because you feel pity, or because you are being manipulated by someone else's emergency, what is the actual emotion driving that transaction? It is fear. It is lack. It is scarcity consciousness. You are looking at a situation of lack, resonating with that lack, and releasing your money while your internal frequency is broadcasting the message that there is not enough. You are literally programming your own money with the energy of depletion. And the quantum field, which is entirely neutral and entirely responsive, simply takes that instruction and multiplies it. You planted a seed of lack, wrapped in a Christian quantum manifestation ritual, and you wonder why your harvest is more lack. This is why charity, as it is traditionally taught, keeps you broke. If this is hitting something deep inside you, if you can feel the exact moment in your past when you gave out of fear instead of power, just quietly hit the like button, as a physical, symbolic agreement with yourself that you are done operating from that frequency. Let it be a silent yes to a new way of seeing. Proverbs 11:25 is about triggering a quantum return explosion. It is about giving smart. Look at the specific language Solomon uses. He that waters shall be watered also himself. This is the hydrological cycle. When water evaporates from the earth, it rises into the atmosphere, gathers into clouds, and returns to the earth as rain. It is a closed-loop system of continuous circulation. The water does not disappear when it evaporates. It changes form, moves into a higher dimension of the atmosphere, gathers mass, and returns with more force than when it left. This is the Bible quantum law of money. Money is a current. It is currency. It must flow. When you hold on to your money out of terror, gripping it so tightly that your knuckles turn white, you stop the hydrological cycle of your own economy. You create stagnant water, and nothing grows in stagnant water except disease. But when you release your money intentionally, not out of pity, not out of guilt, but as an active, conscious investment into the field, you are forcing the cycle to continue. You are watering the earth, which scientifically guarantees that the atmosphere must eventually water you back. But here is where Caps's insight becomes critical, and where biblical wealth hacks transcend cheap motivational theories. You cannot just throw water anywhere and expect a harvest. You have to direct it. When you give, you are creating a vacuum in your physical reality. Quantum physics tells us that nature abhors a vacuum. When you empty a space, the surrounding energy must rush in to fill it. But the quality of the energy that rushes back in is determined by the exact frequency you held when you created the vacuum. If you give your money away while thinking, "I am losing this, I am shrinking my account, I hope I survive this month," the universe rushes in to fill that vacuum with more circumstances that make you feel like you are shrinking and struggling to survive. You match your own vibration. If you give your money away while thinking, "I am an open channel of El Shaddai, I am directing this resource to expand someone else's capacity, and my supply is infinite," the universe rushes in to fill that vacuum with the exact same frequency of infinite capacity. You are not losing money. You are moving it to a higher dimension of the field so it can gather mass and rain back down on you. This requires a massive reprogramming of your subconscious mind. You have to untangle years of religious manipulation that taught you poverty was holy and wealth was suspicious. You have to stop seeing God as a harsh banker and start seeing the divine as the infinite field of abundance that you are actively partnering with. This is exactly why I created something very specific for you. It is called the Quantum Wealth Scripture Journal. It is 30 days of intense, focused alignment. It combines the raw, unedited power of Bible prosperity secrets with practical quantum wealth activations. Every single day, you get scripture, deep psychological reflection, and a practical money move that shifts your frequency out of survival mode and into the architecture of abundance. It is a daily manual for reprogramming the 12-year-old money trauma you are still carrying. The link is right there in the description, and I pinned it in the first comment. I highly recommend you begin that 30-day process tonight, because the shift is not going to happen by accident. Let us go deeper into what it means to give smart. Most people use the law of attraction Bible principles entirely backward. They give to the frequency of the problem, not the frequency of the solution. When you only give to misery, when you only give to crisis, when you only give to the lowest vibrating situations around you, you are constantly anchoring your financial energy to the frequency of emergency. I am not telling you to ignore those in need. I am telling you to be profoundly careful about where you plant your seed, because the ground you sow into dictates the fruit you grow. If you want a financial breakthrough scripture to actually manifest money biblical style in your life, you have to start sowing into abundance. What does that mean? It means you start investing your money in places, people, and environments that are carrying the frequency of where you want to go, not just where you are currently suffering. When you pay for a mentor, when you invest in a skill, when you support a creator who is shifting your mindset, when you buy a book that expands your consciousness, you are giving smart. You are watering a field of expansion. You are releasing your capital into a high-frequency environment. And the quantum return explosion from that kind of giving is staggering, because it does not just return as money. It returns as ideas, as divine connections, as sudden, unexplainable synchronicities that put you in rooms you could never have bought your way into. Charles Capps used to say that you have to call things that are not as though they were. When you write a check, when you tip a server, when you invest in your business, you are speaking a language. You are telling the quantum field who you are. If you tip a server generously, and you do it with the quiet, internal knowing that $50 means absolutely nothing to your infinite supply, you just commanded the field to treat you like a millionaire. You just called the reality of wealth into the present moment. You just watered the ground with the pure frequency of abundance. And the field must respond. It is not a miracle. It is a law. If you are beginning to see the architecture behind the veil, if this way of decoding the ancient text is vibrating as truth in your chest right now, I want to invite you to subscribe. This is not about building a massive subscriber count for the sake of metrics. This is about gathering a community of people who are ready to stop playing surface-level religious games and start operating the actual machinery of reality. Subscribing is just a doorway. It is your way of telling the algorithm and yourself that you want to stay in this frequency. And for those of you who have been quietly walking with me through these videos, who feel a profound protective instinct over this message and this space, there is a channel membership available. It is a sacred, quiet inner circle. It is a way to support the countless hours of research and production that go into these scripts, and it is a way to tell me that this work is changing your life. Members get early access to everything we produce, but more importantly, they are the foundational pillars of what we are building here. If you feel that pull, the invitation is open. Let me leave you with this final expansion of the law. Proverbs 11:25 guarantees that the liberal soul will be made fat. The original Hebrew word for liberal there does not mean political leaning. It means a soul that blesses, a soul that is expansive, a soul that does not operate in contraction. Your money is a direct reflection of the expansiveness of your soul. If your money is tight, restricted, and constantly running out, it is because your internal architecture is tight, restricted, and constantly bracing for impact. You cannot fake a quantum frequency. You can smile when you give your offering. You can say the right Christian phrases. You can quote the Bible verse for wealth until your voice goes hoarse. But the field does not hear your words. It hears your state of being. The quantum prosperity formula requires you to genuinely, physically relax your nervous system around money. The next time you release capital from your hands, whether it is paying a utility bill, buying groceries, or giving to a cause you believe in, I want you to perform a massive pattern interrupt. Do not flinch. Do not calculate the loss. Do not immediately check your balance to see the damage. Hold the money, or the card, or the phone in your hand. Take a deep physical breath and consciously state to yourself, I am returning this to the water cycle. I am watering the earth. I am creating a vacuum for the field of El Shaddai to fill with greater capacity. Watch what happens to your reality when you do that consistently for 30 days. Watch how the anxiety drains out of your body. Watch how the unexpected checks arrive in the mail. Watch how the clients suddenly agree to your terms without negotiating. The quantum field money system is alive. It is listening to you right now. There is someone in your life who is bleeding themselves dry trying to be a good person. Someone who gives everything they have to everyone else and goes to sleep crying because they cannot figure out why they are always at the bottom of the barrel. They are trapped in the charity illusion, and they are destroying their own harvest. Send this to them. Do not preach at them. Do not correct them. Just hand them this message. Tell them you saw this and thought of them. Sometimes the greatest act of giving you can perform is handing someone the key to their own prison cell. You are not meant to be empty. You are meant to be a river. Stop holding the water. Let it flow and prepare for the rain.